but another student named Nanase asks him if he likes isekai stories. So he notes that he just reads anything he can find for free, and he overhears some girls talking about how they didn't even realize he was in their class. But a portal suddenly appears above them. They're all teleported to a mysterious place, where a man named Chamberlain notes that the king will speak to them, but when they start asking questions, he tells them to stay quiet. The king reveals that they're in the kingdom of Urtis, which is the largest nation on the human continent, but we learn that it's being attacked by the demons. He explains that only a hero who will be selected from them can defeat the demon lord, but Akira is happy to learn about it, since it's exactly like one of his isekai stories. Chamberlain tells them to place their hands on a crystal ball and say the word status in their minds, so that everyone can see their stats. One of the students is disappointed to learn that he isn't the hero, but Chamberlain mentions that his starting stats are above average, so he can still go down in history by helping the hero. All the students check their stats, and Akira realizes that he's been classified as an assassin, but Nanase thinks it suits him, since their classmates don't even know he's in their class. A boy named Sato ends up getting selected as the hero, and Chamberlain mentions that his attack power is insane, but Akira is confused since he has the highest stats in their class. Nanase tells him to go to the crystal, but he thinks it might cause problems for him if he reveals his abnormal stats, and he isn't even sure if the king is telling the truth about the demon lord.
In Albion, no matter where you go or
So he decides to use a skill called Conceal Presence to make himself invisible, and he manages to hide from everyone. After that, Chamberlain tells them to rest for the night, but Akira notices a camera and realizes they're being monitored, so he thinks something suspicious is going on. At night, Akira goes out to investigate, and as he looks around, he realizes that they really are in a different world. He jumps onto a castle, and he's surprised by how athletic he is, but he hears the king talking with the princess, so he hides his presence and listens in. The king asks her if everything's going according to their plan, and she mentions that the students are from a world without magic, so they won't cause problems. He tells her to keep them out of the castle archives, since they can't have them learning too much, so Akira thinks they're up to no good. As he's standing behind the king, he thinks about how he can end his life immediately, but he decides against it and leaves. The next day, Akira wonders if he should tell everyone what he learned, but he doesn't know how to make them believe him. Sato notes that they got stronger after coming to the world, telling everyone he wants to use his powers to help the king, and they all agree with him. After that, they meet a knight commander named Saran, who notes that he'll be the one training them. He mentions that after 1 month, they'll go to a dungeon to test their strength, but he knows they have no clue about how the world works. Meanwhile, Akira continues his investigation, but Saran notices him, which surprises Akira since he never turned off his Conceal Presence skill. He wonders if it wore off since it has reached its max duration, so Saran notes that his skill is still active, but he has special eyes that let him see the changes in temperature. Akira prepares to fight him, but Saran tells him to stay calm since he won't tell the king, which surprises him, and he asks Saran if he isn't on the king's side. So he mentions that the situation is complicated, and Akira tells him he wants to read the archives since he knows nothing about this world. Saran asks him about the level of his Conceal Presence skill, so he reveals that it's maxed out, but mentions that his other skills are at level 1, and he has no idea how to raise them. Saran offers to teach him, and he mentions that Akira won't find what he's looking for in the archives, which makes him think about how excited he's been since coming to the new world. But he still needs to find a way to get back to his family, and Saran has no idea how he can return to his world, but he thinks Akira still needs to get stronger to survive. Akira doesn't like to accept help for free, so Saran notes that he can pay him by telling him stories about his world, since he wants to learn about it. After that, they begin their training, and Akira wonders if it will really help him increase his skill level. So Saran mentions that a person can only level up their class by eliminating monsters, but skills can be leveled up through training. He mentions that in addition to humans and demons, there are also elves and beast folk in their world, but they all live on different continents, and Akira tells him about his world as part of their deal. A knight named Gillis tells Saran that the other students are progressing well, but he complains about his workload, which is too much for him since Saran only focuses on Akira. He mentions that Akira's stories about his world are interesting, and he tells Gillis that Akira's Conceal Presence skill is maxed out, which surprises him since only the first hero was able to achieve that. Akira arrives and shows Saran a book he found in the archives, so he reveals that he wrote it and disguised it as a recipe book, but he was sure that Akira would find it. He notes that their king has lost his mind, so they can't just stand by and let him do whatever he pleases, but the knights owe a great debt to the royal family. Akira notes that after he read the book, he realizes that Saran is looking for a peaceful end to the king's reign, but he thinks it would be easier if he just killed the king, since he has no ties to the world. He mentions that on the night they were summoned, he snuck into the king's study and had the opportunity to end his life, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. Saran thinks he made the right choice, since killing a man is a huge burden to carry, and he notes that even though Akira has been given the assassin class, he doesn't need to eliminate anyone. Akira agrees with him, since he knows that if he ended someone's life, his mother and sister would never forgive him. He asks Saran why he's looking out for him, so he explains that it's because he has high hopes for him, since instead of following what everyone is doing, he's using his mind to choose another path. He thinks that only someone who has endured a lot in life can do that, and Akira tells him he's the first person to praise him, but he asks Akira to help him with his coup in exchange. After a month, Saran leads the students to the dungeon, but Akira is surprised to see the number of people who have come to see them off. He sees a girl staring at them, so he asks her if something's wrong, and she's annoyed at how everyone treats them as heroes. She reveals that a lot was sacrificed to summon them, but he has no idea what she's talking about, so she notes that they'll speak again when he discovers the answer on his own. As they reach the dungeon, they start defeating the monsters, but they start to get overwhelmed, so Akira suggests retreating, and Saran thinks it's a good idea. He uses his divine sword to clear a path, and they rush to the exit, but they run into another group of monsters. Sato remembers the smoke bomb he was given to keep the monsters away, and he tries to use it, but he's shocked to see that it only made them stronger. Gillis and Akira catch up to them, and Gillis is shocked to see a minotaur attacking them, while Akira immediately rushes towards it. He dodges its attack and tries to stab its neck, but his sword shatters since its skin is too tough, and Sato tries to help him. But Akira tells him to stop since his arms are broken, and he notes that it's his job as the hero to protect them, but Akira tells Sato that they can take care of themselves. He starts to lose his mind since he thinks he has failed as the hero, and Akira tells a girl to use Dispel on Sato while he goes to fight the Minotaur. He notes that he plans to use his secret skill since he needs to fight with everything he's got, so Saran tells him to wait for his signal. Saran's body starts glowing, and he hits the Minotaur with a lightning strike, while Akira activates his shadow magic. The Minotaur tries to hit Saran with its axe, but Akira stabs it with his shadow spikes, and he starts reeling it into the darkness. He manages to cut off its head, but he starts to lose control over his magic, so Saran calms him down. After they return to the castle, Saran thanks Akira since they were able to survive thanks to him, but he notes that Saran is the one who stopped his magic from going berserk. Saran mentions that the spell takes a toll on Akira's body, so even though it's powerful, he should only use it when he has no other choice. Saran gives him a katana forged by the first hero, and he wonders why Saran isn't giving it to Sato, so he mentions that he doesn't want the king to notice it, since he stole it from the royal armory. He mentions that the katana's name is written on the hilt, and he notes that he can't read it, but Akira knows the language since it's inscribed in Japanese. He reads a message from the first hero, which mentions that he hopes the katana will find its rightful successor, and Akira wishes that he could have met him. Akira is still worried about Sato, since the curse on him was insanely strong, and Saran thinks he knows who's behind it. At night, we see the princess using a crystal to curse Sato, but Akira appears behind her and cuts the crystal in half. He asks her why she cursed Sato, but she refuses to tell him anything, and after he leaves, she opens up a cabinet with a huge number of crystals, which she plans to use on the students. After that, Akira tells Saran his suspicions were right, and he asks Akira if he showed himself to the princess, so he notes that he tried to get information from her, but she didn't give him a straight answer. Saran mentions that she's just the king's puppet, and he tells Akira he shouldn't stay in the castle tonight, since she'll curse every other student except for the hero. But she can't do it to Akira, since she knows nothing about him, so she'll try to have him eliminated. He asks Saran why he isn't scolding him for revealing himself, so he notes that kids are bound to make mistakes, and it's the adult's job to take care of them. Akira wishes there were people like him in his world, so Saran tells him to take him when he goes back, since he wants to see what it's like. The next day, As Akira wakes up, he sees that all the students have gathered outside, so he goes to check what's going on, and he's shocked to see that Saran was killed. Everyone blames him since Saran was killed with the same dagger he was using, and the king orders the knights to capture him, but he uses his conceal presence skill to turn invisible. He gets close to Gillis, who reveals that Saran was killed by the king's personal assassins called the Night Ravens, but he left instructions for Akira in his room, so he should get everything and run away. At night, the princess tells the king that she put curses on all the students except for the hero, so all they need is a reason to declare war on the East. He knows that the students are an important piece for him, and he thinks Akira won't survive for long, but he still tells her to make sure the Night Ravens pursue him.